Truth really is stranger than fiction, and the horror film industry has been prevalent in pop culture for over a century. From the first horror film, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari from 1920, to contemporary pieces such as 2017's Get Out, the genre has consistently showcased advanced film techniques. These techniques have been up to date for their specific time period, exciting the viewers and keeping them hooked, as human nature is prone to take interest in these topics. So, we will discuss the scientific evidence that proves humans are psychologically inclined while maintaining a shocking response. By having this grasp on the viewer's attention, the filmmakers can convey outlooks on social issues based on observations and experiences. Therefore, the horror film genre has proven to be successful over the past century due to large-scale technological advancements and human psychological tendencies that fuel the interest in horror. This gives the horror films the ability to explore social issues, making the film seem realistic enough to apply to real life. So, we're going to begin with the technological advancements of horror and the leading technology and how this attracts viewers. So we're going to start with The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is the 1920 film. This is the first horror film. So this film has a very amazing, complex plot. So, I really can't go over all of it and in this presentation, but what I will do is that I will explain the necessary parts for you to understand the concepts that I will be discussing. So, in the 1920s and at this time, film was silent, it was different, and film was a physical. And in this film, the physical film was dyed. So scenes could appear different colors. So for example, nighttime scenes like this one here, and they were dyed blue. And this conveyed the mysteriousness and uncertainty, and then during the daytime, film was yellow or orange, and these two provide contrast and convey peace. Or convey peace here, well, this conveys uncertainty. So there's lots of interesting things, interesting subconscious techniques that get the audience engaged in the film. So the technique that is used right here is called a vignette, and this is when the object is zoomed in on in the film. So this highlights a reaction expressing importance to the viewers. So if you take a look here, you see Caesar running, and it's focused on, there's just diamond shapes highlighting him. So now we're going to talk about the quadrants. So it's kind of hard to tell in just an image. You have to see a video of it. But basically, this is a scene transition. So it shows one thing happening in one corner, closes in on that corner, while another corner is opening up with a different scene. So quadrants remind the audience that two separate events involving characters are occurring simultaneously. So in the 1920s, these breakthrough methods not only tell a story, but also excite the audience over the artistic improvements in the film realm. Film and these advancements in film foreshadow impending danger and build suspense. The suspense is what the audience craves, and it grasps their attention and intrigues their senses. So now we're going to talk about leading technology displayed in Get Out. So prosthetics are used, such as a brain. There's a scene, of course I did not include any images of it because it is gory, but the antagonist conducts surgery and he physically cuts open a brain, or cuts open someone's head and you see their brain. So this gory scene really strikes chord among the audience because it scares them, it looks realistic, but it creates curiosity. Another example is the point of view shots. So here Chris is falling into what it's called the sunken place, which is a computer-generated imagery, or CGI, makes Chris, the protagonist, appear as if he is slowly sinking into a blank space, and a small image of what's actually happening outside of Chris's mind is shown, and this visualizes from Chris's point of view, and these advancements of using CGI engage the audience and awaken multiple emotions. So now I'm going to talk about the psychology, the idea of showing and not telling in a horror film. So in film generally, we see a story. We're not being read, we're not being told what's going on. We see what's physically happening. And this leaves a profound impact on the viewers, which gives us an interesting psychological effect. So here's what happens. The viewers directly feel the effects of the horror film on a hormonal level, and the feel-good chemical called endorphins are released by the brain, and adrenaline is secreted by the fight or flight response that's being activated. The audience isn't in any actual danger, yet they feel these good effects. So this is seen in the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So Caesar is one of the characters who is the fortune teller. And innocent bystander who's curious asks Caesar, "When will I die?" And he says, "Before dawn." So this plants a seed that's played off in the petrifying scene of his death. This also occurs in the suspenseful scene when Caesar attempts to murder the love interest of the story. So this is being shown right here, Jane. So Caesar attempts to murder, and when he actually does murder, it constructs tension that's broken, causing the audience to experience a release of endorphins. The audience is not a target of Caesar's killing, yet they feel the intensity as if they were. And when individuals watch and enjoy horror, they're chasing these endorphins, the adrenaline, and these feelings, and this is what grows the popularity of the genre. The same phenomena is demonstrated in Get Out. So specifically the scene where the protagonist is hypnotized, gore is shown like I went out earlier, or this is the nighttime running scene. So it's a jump scare, it's suspenseful, and these scenes all have satisfying effect on the viewers because they have suspense that's built following a tension that's being broken at an instant. So once again, the fight or flight response is activated without the viewers actually being in a threatening position. They're sitting on their couch watching the movie. They're not in any real danger whatsoever. So these scenes all have something that causes build up. It could be slow, it could be quicker, but then the build up, the tension that's just built is gone at an instant. It's gone because we see what happens. We're waiting for something to happen, and then all of a sudden it happens. And these are the psychological effects of just watching films, especially horror films. So now we're going to talk about some social issues. So by using these techniques, the audience really gets the viewer's attention. And with this attention, the filmmakers have the power to express their point of view on these social issues, and it's in an extreme manner, of course. And it involves the audience, because it's real social issues. So this is filmed from the 1920s, is historical, because it is made in 1920. Think about the context giving World War I, World War II, the rise of fascism, and this is a German film. So consider all of that. So now there is a dynamic between this guy, Caesar, and the Dr. Caligari. Dr. Caligari uses Caesar as his puppet. So this kind of, at first, it was kind of interesting to see. But then as you watch it more, you realize the connection, that this is an analogy for totalitarianism. Because Caesar represents the common person who's just following totalitarianism, and this Dr. Caligari is preying on Caesar, and it's like totalitarianism preying on citizens, taking advantage of their gullibility and them wanting to believe, yes, totalitarianism will make a better future. Just as I mentioned earlier, he was a fortune teller, gullible people saying, yes, I want to know my fortune. So the citizens thrilled over the false hope of fortune-telling symbolizes the turning to totalitarianism for answers, the false hope. In the case of the story and reality, this has a negative result for a dismal future. So the German expression is set. You'll take a look here. Also, you could see here and even here. But there's in this film, if you go on Google Images and look it up, there is distorted backgrounds, warped settings, disproportionate objects. I thought this one was funny. It's just a giant chair, just a large, crazy looking chair. But this depicts the deranged state of mind of the regime. And this is another photo that I thought was very important as well. This is when, in the government photo, when they're in the city council. This is the city council clerk. And if you'll notice, he is physically sitting higher than everyone else. He's elevated. And then here is a common person, Dr. Caligari. And this is an analogy saying of the bureaucracy being in control and above all of the common people. Next is Get Out. So this is a more modern issue. So it talks about racism and interracial couples. So the director of this film Jordan Peele, he reveals his thought on the issue by having an unrealistic and realistic presentation of this concept. So the unrealistic components include Rose, the girlfriend's family, maliciously preying on a black individual. So Rose's family makes Chris a victim of their schemes. By doing so, Jordan Peele, the director, is addressing how white people can spread rumors, have prejudices or biases, or other negative attitudes towards the black community, especially when possibly joining the family. On a more realistic level, Peele also acknowledges police brutality, and this occurs in the scene where the police officer is asking for Chris's license when they pulled the car over, even though Chris wasn't driving. And this example is lifelike, connecting the audience to the film. So the use of racism, which is a valid issue for many, in this mythical world where crazy things are happening, black people are being targeted in this extreme way, it grasps the audience's attention, and it stresses how these matters have a pronounced impact on individuals. So, the horror film genre is popular because of the exciting advancements it has, and the psychological reactions becoming more effective when discussing social issues. And from what we went over, dyed film, point of view shots, and prosthetics, the audience looks forward to these advancements and techniques, and this paves the way for the audience members to feel an adrenaline rush, a release of endorphins. And therefore, the director can convey commentary on society effectively, becoming more relatable. Since the beginning, horror films have been appealing to viewers as it reflects their interests. Thank you for listening.